Hello and welcome to Tuesday Newsday, your #1 resource for the entire week's worth of VR news. One of the most realistic games to ever come to VR is on its way this fall, but there's a massive issue with the whole thing that needs to be addressed. A new wireless valve index patent, and 2020 hasn't exactly been the best year on record for the world, but for VR, things are actually looking better than they ever have before, almost no matter what stats you look at. That and so much more. Let's just get right into the news. This past week, Onward released for the Oculus Quest. If you don't know what Onward is, it's a multiplayer military sim-style first-person shooter that previously was only for PC VR. Due to the nature of a PC VR paid shooter, the player population of the game usually isn't gigantic, sitting in the average of 90 to 100-ish players, and that's where a game launching for the Oculus Quest is a big deal, because there are quite a few Quest owners that just don't own a PC, but their headset functionally is the exact same as a PC VR system, just it has a lot less horsepower, of course. The cool part of Onward's launch is that it has crossplay, so Quest players and PC players can play together, likely doubling or even tripling the concurrent average players playing at any given time, which in my opinion overall improves an online-centric experience. I like the feel of a big community for an online game, but this doesn't go without controversy, of course, and there were two big things that happened that spurred that controversy. So we know that the Oculus Quest isn't all that powerful by itself. I mean, it's got a 3-year-old mobile processor. Try comparing that to a Ryzen 3900X and a 2080 Ti. Yeah, just not gonna happen. So in order to make crossplay between PC and Quest happen, the developers of Onward downgraded the graphics across the game entirely, including PC owners. This means that things like foliage, smoke, and fire were all removed, textures and meshes were massively simplified, and the game just looks worse. This was very obviously to get the game running smoothly on the Quest and to make crossplay easier between the Quest and PC version, and to be honest, I kinda don't mind. In competitive shooters, I almost always turn the graphics down to their minimum, whether that be Overwatch, Valorant, or CSGO, and I'd probably do the same here. But the problem comes from the core community of the game getting a pretty much surprise update that took away features and the look of the game. I mean, I bought this, not this. Downpour, Onward's devs have responded by allowing a rollback update to the previous version of Onward, and visuals will be worked on to bring the PC version back up to snuff with PC standards, which I agree needs to happen, and so does the community. It is being worked on though, and PC will soon look better, I guess. Next up is something a little bit happier. I mentioned earlier that 2020 hasn't exactly been the best year for the world. I mean, you guys know what's going on. And at the beginning of this year, I posted a video saying 2020 is the year for VR. Then all this stuff happened. Well, turns out that even though this year hasn't been great for many things, VR has really hit a strong point, which I guess is to be expected. When society turns massively reclusive, many people turn to the internet for enjoyment or to socialize, and VR is probably one of the best ways to do both. But let me talk some stats. It'll probably cheer your day up if you're favoring VR to do well. So regarding products reaching mass appeal, especially tech products and trends, there's something called an exponential curve. To give you an example, look at the smartphone. In 2007, the release year of the iPhone, very few people even owned a smartphone, only approximately 6% of the population. But each year, exponentially more people hopped on the smartphone bandwagon, and by 2016, more than 80% of the population owned one. Now in 2020, you're in an outlier dataset if you don't own one. And that's the basic idea of a product following a successful exponential curve. Of course, there's been plenty of market prediction on the virtual reality market, and the exponential curve has been made and destroyed and made many times. And there's no promising that we're gonna hit it. However, we kind of have, and this is what it looks like. I gotta be honest, I was worried for what this curve would look like right about now, 4 months after Half-Life Alyx launched and brought nearly 1 million new Steam VR users to the platform. VR historically has had a pretty bad retention rate, meaning people buy VR, they're in it for a month, then they go dark. But even though there have been practically no new big games released in months for VR, the monthly connected users on Steam has not gone down, and it's honestly surprised even me. If this trend continues upwards, not only will more and more people get to enjoy the pretty decent catalog of VR games over the past few years, but new developers will see VR as being more and more profitable, because profitability is a big part of the reason why we haven't gotten any new big games over the past few months. It's also why the Onward devs have pushed their game to the Quest. This data, even though it's very positive, is only for Steam VR, not taking into account the growing number of standalone VR users or PSVR users. Player populations for just about every game has been up and increasing almost every month, whether that's VR Chat, Onward, Rec Room, player pops and retention has been up, and that's great. It feels really good to, after a year of reporting VR related things on this channel, to say that we're in a really great state, and it only looks up from here. And while this has been a quiet few months for VR games, the later half of 2020 is holding quite a few big VR games like Star Wars Squadrons, Solaris, and Medal of Honor. Not to mention all of these new Oculus headset leaks and the HP Reverb G2 coming soon. I really do expect this exponential curve to maintain its velocity and continue its upward trend. There are a few interesting things about these stats though. The Valve Index now holds a higher market share than the original Oculus Rift, at almost 14.5% of all headsets connected on Steam, only dwarfed by Oculus as a whole at 45.5% and HTC at 28.8%. Although HTC has been losing market share extremely fast, dropping from nearly 40% at this time last year to less than 30% this year. And I'm assuming that the Windows Mixed Reality category will gain some more traction from its current 7.3% with the Reverb G2, and that Oculus may lose some share once that G2 releases. But we'll have to see when that release date actually comes. All in all, this is just massively good news for VR, and I'll continue to update you all on future market trends. Hopefully they'll continue to be as positive as these moving forward, because the thing about an exponential curve is that the numbers exponentially increase, meaning that next year we could be talking about 3 to 4 million Steam VR users, not just the 1.7 million that we're talking about now. But now it's time for a meme break! Onward 1.7 versus 1.8. Look, it's no big deal, right? I'm sure no one will notice or care.
Are you sure about that?
And now, back to the news. So personally, I really like flight simulators. I'm no simulator enthusiast, and it's not like I spend a lot of time or money on them, but I have in the past. And I've been looking for a good flight simulator for VR for years, and it turns out that Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, one of the most advanced, best-looking flight simulators ever made, is coming with VR support, which is huge. Not only will it bring the flight sim community ever closer to the VR community, essentially bringing in tons of new dedicated users into VR, but it may get current VR enthusiasts into the flight sim scene. It's a plus, since undoubtedly the best way to experience Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 will be in VR. There's a massive problem though. Microsoft recently announced that there's a catch. The game will only be supported on Windows Mixed Reality, and in particular, the HP Reverb G2 at launch, with support for other headsets coming at a later date which is not disclosed. Now, I gotta say, I have a problem with this. I have a video coming soon on how badly Microsoft has fucked up virtual reality over the years, and this just piles onto that list. You're going to add virtual reality function to a highly anticipated game, and only have the function available for one headset, a single headset, and ignore the other 2 million PC VR users that don't even own an HP Reverb G2 or that don't plan on buying it. Then say it may come eventually for other VR users. What? Now, I understand understand, Microsoft may be doing this to boost the sales of its own Windows mixed reality brand, tying Flight Sim 2020 to the new flagship WMR, the HP Reverb G2. But if that doesn't boil your blood a little as a dedicated VR consumer, I don't know what will. Now, look, I know for a fact that once we have VR support for one headset, the community will find a way to make it work for all headsets. But the precedent that Microsoft has made to lock down software to a single headset is crappy, and I'm not really cool with it, to be honest. However, I am still excited for Flight Sim 2020, and it comes free with Xbox Game Pass, so I guess I don't even have to spend $1 on it, but my gosh, come on Microsoft. But moving from Microsoft's blundering schemes, let's talk about a wireless Valve Index. So Valve has talked many times about bringing wireless to the Valve Index, stating it's a solved problem, and Gabe Newell himself has stated that they're looking at multiple ways to achieve wireless. Everything's been really quiet on the subject until recently. A new patent popped up from Valve for explicitly a wireless VR system. First though, let me give the normal patent disclosure. This is a patent, not a fact or a product that's coming. These things are filed by companies all the time and don't necessarily mean that we're getting anything from it in terms of an actual product. But on the other hand, this could be a glimpse as to what we're getting from Valve in terms of a wireless Valve Index, which in my opinion would make the headset the perfect PC VR headset on the market. So this patent was filed last year, but it was published last week, so this isn't exactly anything new, just news to us. The system is said to use a similar 60 GHz WiGig band as the Vive wireless adapter, but has an electronically controlled and pointed antenna to achieve the best connection. Quote, the wireless data transport system utilizes the known current or predicted future position and/or orientation of the mobile wireless device receiving the data from the tracking subsystem and compensates for movement of the mobile wireless device by selectively adjusting beamforming pattern of the steerable antenna based at least in part on the tracking data received from the tracking subsystem, end quote. Looking at the patent details, this looks like a system built in or on the headset, or at the very least something that is low profile with a big focus on being compact and having incredibly low latency and being able to detect possible disruptions such as your own body occluding the connection, which is a problem for even the Vive wireless adapter, and that seems to be using a similar technology for wireless. I have no idea if this is coming soon, and I kind of doubt that it is coming soon. At least not in the next few months like a few have alluded to, but I agree with many that a wireless Index would be the headset, and it couldn't come soon enough. Also, if you're a Quest user and you've been looking for a new VR cover, well, you're in luck. VR Cover just released a brand new cover kit for the Quest, and having it in hand, it's pretty impressive. Comes with a new flexible facial interface in a snazzy red, light leak nose flaps, and memory foam like actual cover. Only $30 for the whole package as well, and like I said, if you're looking for a new cover, this is really the one to get. And no, this is not a sponsor, I just really like it. Also, VR Cover has the slick new face mask if you're interested as well. I mean, if you're gonna go out right now, you might as well go out staying safe and repping VR. It's kind of like a VR cover, but for your face. And now it's time for question of the week from Big Toe Boy. How often do I play flat screen games? And the answer to that is every day. Until an Overwatch style game that's worth my time and has a large community and has a competitive mode comes out for VR, I'm gonna keep playing flat games. Unfortunately, it seems that developers don't see it worth their time or money to do something like that, so I'll just keep playing flat game until a game like it is released. Make sure to leave your own question of the week below. I may just answer yours next. I am streaming today pretty much right after this video goes live, so make sure to stop on by and we can continue this conversation. Also, join up at my Discord server where we talk about all sorts of VR stuff all the time and even have meetups. Thank you to all of my Patreon supporters, especially my Omegas like Benji, Very Evil Shadow, Fusion Oak, HCG Randon, Zimph, Ronzarelli, Studio Form VR, Tristan, TrueKilla, VR Ambassador, and VR Balance. I literally couldn't be doing any of this without you. Don't forget to like this video if you loved it, subscribe if you want more of this, and hit that freaking bell if you just can't live without it. Much love, Thrill out.